And here's the bend that occurs. And then it pulls forward. Now, look at this change from 16 to 17. That's a big gap. That's something we probably should try and soften if we can. And then, of course, you have to judge the overall motion and make sure that your attempt to smooth things out hasn't dramatically changed the effect you've been trying to get the whole time. Sometimes that will happen. You get so caught up in trying to smooth something that you smooth out all the character from your walk, and you don't want to do that. But in this particular case, looking at that move, we'll see what we can do about it. So here from 13 to 14, you see how big that changes. That goes almost all the way to the green. So we want to tone that down. And in this case, like I said, our first line of defense, I would say, would be the foot roll. Play with that foot roll, see if you can make it do something reasonable. So I'm backing up the foot roll a little bit here. And the real trick has to be, you have to go from 13 to 14 and make sure that it still looks like that foot is naturally going back and coming up off the ground. If it doesn't look like it's a natural progression, then this technique won't work. And you'd be better off going with scaling the legs. But I think we're going to need a little bit of both, actually, because I want that to keep going back and up. So I'm going to go to my leg length. I'm going to use both. I'm going to actually scale it back. So you can see it's just a little bit different from that pink. So we're really easing it out of that. And I still don't want it to make it all the way to the green. We've done about as much as we can on this particular pose with the foot roll. So I'm going to just use the scales on this part of it. And I'm going to make that go just about halfway between those two. So then on 16, you can see how it basically is ramping out of that. So now on 14, actually, it's not reading quite as nice as it was before, so I'm going to back that off. There, 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 there. Okay, so now what we actually have a progression that does this. It's a slow out. It's got that kind of spacing, then it goes to here, and then it goes to here. So it's getting gradually larger, larger, larger. Whereas before, what it did, it went from there to here, and then it went back to here, and then it came to here, and then it went over here. So it was really poppy. So now, theoretically, if we look at this, that back leg should be a nice, smooth walk, and it is. Okay, and that foot feels like it's coming up really nicely off the ground. Those forward moves are still a little bit poppier than I would like, but the back one is nice and smooth now. And then if we were to do it on this back leg here, as that comes up off the ground, it would be the same idea. So from frame 1, let's delete those. We'll draw the straight on that leg. Okay, and then we're going to get the bend. And so you can see basically what I'm doing. I'm choosing the key poses that I want to work between. And I'm including frame 5 in the key poses because that gives me a better overall idea of the course that the knee is taking. So by looking at this, I can say, oh, okay, it's gradually getting faster and faster. It's moving further and further away. So then all I have to do is make sure that that's what the back of the knee looks like it's doing. So in this case, you can see there's actually a problem down here on the foot where it's going through the ground. So we can fix that while we're here. And I think that's going to require me to rotate this back a bit. and probably use that foot roll, come back a bit like this. And use a little bit, again, of that length. So I'm going to scale that back a tiny bit so that we're really easing out of that move. You can see just a sliver of light through there. And it's always good to set a key on the whole body part, so I'm just setting a key on that leg control there. And I'm going to set one at frame 3, and here you can see again it's going through the ground. So before I do anything else, I'm going to pick it up so it's not going through the ground. And at this point, the foot roll should be pretty much gone, so I'm going to zero that out. So those are the first things you want to do. You want to get the leg into the basic position it should be in before you begin trying to tweak the other stuff. And as far as that goes, you know, this is again a big jump from here to here, from 2 to 3. So looking at 4, you can look at the progression of the tip of the toe, and you can kind of make a judgment call here. I'm looking at the tip of the toe. I'm going from frame 1 to 2. Oh, this is interesting. To 3 to 4. You can see how big of a change there is in that distance traveled there from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. It seems to speed up quite a bit here. So where is it on 24? This is where it is on 24. So it actually looks like the distance from 1 to 2 is the correct one, and 3 to 4 is not. But since the foot's coming up off the ground, we can sort of give ourselves some leeway with that. Still, if you wanted to be a little picky about it, you could say, well, it really should be over here, you know, and if it's really supposed to be over here, then maybe that foot shouldn't be up quite so high. You know, maybe we really want that foot to be down a bit more, and then you got to push it back a little bit because now it's in the wrong spot as well. So it's 12, that's 13, and then if we go down and we look at the scale on the leg, let's put that back to 1. Okay, that didn't do a whole lot. So let's try our foot roll here. Okay, so what I've been trying to do here is just get that spacing to work a little bit better with, you know, remember I said that as the foot goes across it really should have even spacing? Well, I looked and this seemed to be the distance it should be going. This should be the even part. This started to get a little bit out of control. So I'm using the controls I have to try and position this first and then adjust the knee. So there's 2 easing out, 3 is getting a little bit broader and bigger, 4 is there, and then 5 is there. I think on 3 we'll use a little bit more foot roll to make it even further. There, I think maybe that should be good. Now, this though will give you a humongous pop in this particular foot as it goes back like that. We'll try and reduce that by not letting it go perfectly straight yet. It'll still be down here on 4. So there will be a pop, but not quite as big. And you could even let that leg go back a little bit and up a little bit and let that foot drag behind a little bit more on the next pose, which would be 5, and then have it start forward. So, you know, there's all sorts of tweaking that you can do to get the kind of pose that you're really looking for. Alright, so now we have a nice smooth movement from the back to the front. And the knee movement that is in there, it's got a little wobble, but it's not popping anymore. So you could continue to refine it to get rid of, I mean, if it really bothers somebody, you could work on that to get the proper spacing and everything so that you really could read a good strong straight in there instead of having it basically